Hey everybody, it's Cole with Long Range Addicts Podcast. I apologize for the inconvenience, for the late tardiness. I got all the way to my office and realized my wife had I left my keys in my other vehicle, so I apologize. Tonight, we're lucky to be, you know, here with Josh from US Optics. They've been around for a long time. They've made a few moves recently, and they've done a lot of cool new things. And we really want to kind of deep dive into what's going on with US Optics. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to first off thank our sponsors, Benchmark Barrels. Benchmark Barrels is stepped up for a relatively new podcast. Put a lot of faith into us. We appreciate them. Team POI, which I own and manage, they've stepped up and helped us out a ton, given us some barrels, pushed us a lot. If you're looking for barrels, I've seen it in a lot of groups lately, what kind of barrels would you look for? Definitely look into it. I'm not telling you to go buy it just because they help us. I'm doing it because everybody that I talk to loves their Benchmark barrels. Next up, Boring Rifles, they've come on board. They're starting to help us. We appreciate them. Team POI, which I own, marketing, PR, everybody's kind of stepping up to really push the Long Range Addicts, trying to get more knowledge out there. There's a lot of podcasts out there. We appreciate you guys listening. So to get into it, Josh, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Cole. Good to be here tonight.
Good to have you. Again, I apologize, dude. It was one of those freaking crazy ass nights where I'm like trying to get my short bus all done. If anybody's seen what the short bus is, and then I drive the short bus to work to see how good it's working, and I forget my damn keys. So I apologize.
Not a problem.
It's all good. Anyway, can you go ahead and introduce yourself? A lot of people don't necessarily know the people behind US Optics. I want to kind of change that, kind of build a relationship, the rapport. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Josh Somerville. I'm the production manager at US Optics. I've been there almost 7 years now.
Yeah, so you've made the moves, between California, Montana, now North Carolina. It's been kind of crazy for you guys. What kind of led to the moves that I know everybody's kind of asking, trying to wonder what the heck's going on? What led to all these moves?
Yeah, it has been a pretty long couple of years, but I was with the original company in Brea, California, and in 2017, we sold the company. Pat Harrigan and John Burke purchased the company, and shortly after the company was purchased, they moved us to Montana, which when they gave us the option to move, it was a no-brainer. I mean, going from Southern California to Montana, especially Kalispell, is something you don't really think twice about. And shortly after we got up there, they acquired a new facility with our sister company, Zero Delta, in North Carolina. And that was at the end of 2017. And they started building this facility. And when that happened, the writing was kind of on the wall that we were probably going to be moving to, even though we had just moved to North Carolina. Having multiple companies kind of spread out throughout the country, bouncing back and forth, doesn't make a lot of sense logistically. So we moved to Connelly Springs, North Carolina. We have a 120,000 square foot facility on 80 acres, got a 100-yard indoor ballistic range, 25-yard pistol range inside, and we have 300 yards outside, so we can do all our optical testing, actually test rifles, test scopes, and actually be able to do it there at the facility instead of having to go to range somewhere. So it was definitely a move up in capabilities wise.
Yeah, I mean that's a big thing. US Optics was fairly a pretty small company to begin with, right? I mean, what, in your opinion, has it grown double, triple? What do you think?
Capabilities wise, absolutely. We're still a really small team. I mean, there's about 10 of us at the shop, and that's including sales and marketing. So we're still a small company. We are growing with the relocation from Kalispell to North Carolina. We definitely has shrunk our footprint a little bit just because not everyone was willing to relocate their lives, unfortunately, which is understandable. I mean, it's tough to move across country, but the core of us, me, one of our senior technicians who's been with the company for about 12 years, and then our sales and marketing staff all made the move from Brea to Montana, then out to North Carolina. we know what U.S. Optics is and what we're capable of, and great things are coming down the road from U.S. Optics, and we're all wanting to be a part of that. I mean, the team and atmosphere that ownership has built has really, made you want to be part of the company.
Yeah, and I mean, when I first came to U.S. Optics, and I'm going to kind of give a little bit of my behind the scenes, what a lot of people don't know about me. U.S. Optics kind of helped me get thrown into it. Now, back in the days, George Sharongelis, now he's surefire and running that, but he kind of believed in me. That was back in 2014, 2013, somewhere right in there. Anyway, one of my first optics was an ER25, which, holy crap, I love that freaking scope. They were bulletproof. The EREC knob, it took me a little bit. It was a little bit hard for me to understand going from, I was shooting some Vortex Gen 1s. That was back in the Gen 1 stages, trying to understand going from, the standard knob systems into that EREC. And that EREC was built like a freaking brick shit house, honestly. You know what I mean? You put your wrench in there, you tighten it and everything. But anyway, U.S. Optics has kind of had that special place because they believed in me before everybody else did. And I appreciate that from them a lot. But the way that the optics have gone, you've got the original USOs way back when they went to the ER, the LR, to the B series, now to your TS series, now to your new Foundation series. So I guess, I see it in a lot of groups and a lot of forums. Why? I guess first off, let's go step by step. Why did you go? What was the idea and what was the brains behind going from the ER and oh, crap, I'm tongue tied. The ER and the LR to the new B series? What was the whole brain systems behind that?
The big thing behind the LRs and the ERs and the MRs, it was pretty much the same design scope we've been running for almost 15 years. I mean, the LRs and ERs are very similar to most of the SN3s that we were building in the early 2000s. I mean, we went from the Ergo front adjustable parallax to the T-PAL, which you have on your Ergos and everything. That was the only big change from those. And so they really wanted to take the ERs more into the 21st century. I mean, it was kind of a archaic system, the Ergos and everything. And the B series with our first release, we came out with that in 2016 or 2017. That was the first new scope we'd made in 15 years almost. So it was kind of a big deal doing the release of the B series. And a lot of ownership believed that it would really push the market, was really demanding different features and a new system. So
yeah, and now when you guys changed those, you updated the glass and everything in them, correctly?
We changed a couple of objective sizes. The heart of the scope really remained the same. I mean, if you look at your old ER25 with a 5x25, 35 millimeter eyepiece, and it was a 58 millimeter objective. The B series, we reshaped the objective, kind of changed the light path of how the light came into the objective. It's a 52 millimeter objective, and that's one thing a lot of people actually talk about. They always want to talk about a big objective and wanting a bigger objective. They think need more light, and that's kind of a fallacy. People think they want more light. They need better light. That's the big thing, and it's the way light is transmitted into your optics. So I can put a 80 millimeter objective on this 17 I have here, and it's not going to make it a brighter scope. It can actually wash it out. It can make it worse, So that we redesigned the objective on the B25, the B17, and the B10, and kind of optimize the optic system. And that was the big change optically from the ERs to the B series.
Okay, so internally, the way it all adjusts, whether it's windage, elevation, everything like that stayed the same. Just the knobs changed, or how did that go?
Like the rector itself, which is the heart of the scope, where your cam lenses are and where your reticle is housed and everything, which I actually have one here, that stayed the same from the SNs to the ERs to up until the Foundations, where we've actually changed it a bit. But the way the knobs function on the B series, is locking windage, locking elevation. It was a much more complex knob system on the inside, a lot more moving parts, and it was actually a lot more difficult to build, unfortunately.
Okay. So keeping up to try and get everything built in correctly and then keeping up with production times. And then you
Yes,
guys
sir.
had to move right in there. So that was even a bigger pain in the ass to try and get all that stuff put together.
No, the move was definitely difficult, but thanks to great teamwork and a great team behind us, we were actually able to do it as smoothly as possible. I mean, it's never easy to move a company across country, especially while trying to maintain production and do everything that a company needs to do to be successful. But yeah, no, we got through it, and we're building scopes again. So
Yeah, and maybe a lot of people don't know this, and I don't know if maybe we should even talk about it, but you guys are also part of the Zero Delta family now.
yeah, yep,
So the mounts, the pistols, you can transform them into a bunch of different things. So that's kind of, the back reason why USO moved to North Carolina after all was because they were, part of the same company. I've got one right here, back behind me. I've got a B-17 and a Zero Delta, and those freaking Zero Delta mounts are awesome for what they are.
no,
Quick connect, spring loaded, they're awesome. So if a lot of you are looking for new mounts, those are ones to look into. Now, I destroyed one of the very first B-25s, and it was my fault because I got in there screwing around. And the problem was I did it right in the middle of a freaking match because I started screwing around with my adjustment. And, the biggest problem that I had with my B series was the way that you guys locked it. Now, you guys started sending out, I got one probably, I don't know, it's been a year ago, the new little wrench systems that go on top that help torque it down. Now, are you guys still sending those out to people?
Oh yeah, if people don't if they didn't get one when they purchased the B series, they can just shoot us the email or give us a call, and we'll make sure they get one. And the big thing is it's really hard to get a proper amount of torque with the palm of your hand, or to undo it sometimes if you've really torqued it on there. And so that EK2 tool just really helps snug it down so it's tight, so your knob doesn't slip when you're making adjustments, and it helps to loosen it if you do need to refloat your knob and re-zero it. And one of the issues we had with the B series when we first released it, we didn't do a great job of educating the consumer on how to properly use and how to properly set up the knobs. And that's something that we admit we kind of dropped the ball on that part, but we've definitely done a lot more with education. I mean, we have people like Nico Detour out there, instructing people at ranges and matches and everything, and doing videos. And we're trying to do a lot more on actually doing videos and, educating our consumer on how to use our product and why to use our product.
Yeah, and that's the thing is your original the ER and the LR, or what the hell am I saying that right? The LR and the
LR17 and the ER25.
Yeah, ER25. Yeah, I've got both one. I can't even freaking talk tonight. It's one of those freaking nights. Anyway, so the way that those were adjusted was you had a cap on it, and in the middle of it had a hole. And then you'd adjust it, which it took me a while to figure it out because I'm a freaking redneck hillbilly, slow some bitch. It took me a while to figure that out, but I got it figured out. And that was my biggest thing. After a while, I got to be a really big fan of that system. I'm like, crap, this is easy. Just hold it, twist it a little bit, and then you're good. And then you just lock the zero stops. But, and I was going to bring that up. I got into the B series when that got sent to me, and I looked everywhere to freaking figure out how the hell to work that damn thing. And finally, that's where I found it. It was on one of Nico's videos. And it kind of explained it to me, and I figured it out. And again, I'm just one of those redneck guys that I don't know. I hate freaking instruction booklets. Most of them I just throw away, and hopefully it's on YouTube so I can watch it and see the little pictures, because that's how my brain works. I love freaking pictures. But
I'm in the same boat.
So you went to the B series. You released it. Now, maybe you can or you can't tell me this. Is the glass the same, or has the glass been changed between both of them?
So the glass has definitely changed in our new Foundation series. Okay. So one of the things we've done is we've gone through our whole optical system and redesigned it. Because if you know, in your B series or your ER25, you had a 255 degree throw on your power collar. To go from high to low was 255 degrees, which made it really hard to run a switch view lever, or just going from high to low. You had to crank it 8 times to go. So what we did is we redesigned the actual heart of the scope, the Rector system. It's now 180 degree throw inside there, so you can go from high to low with just power lever, and you don't have to worry about ripping your hand off when you manipulate your bolt, or it makes it a lot easier to set your scope up and to be able to change magnification. So along with that, we have shot glass from objective to eyepiece throughout the whole thing. So we are using some of the highest quality glass you can get out there, and you're getting a pretty awesome piece of gear.
Okay, that's good to know. Another question. So I've seen, and you can help me understand this, that if people want the foundation, is there a trade up program for that, or how does that work?
We're not currently doing a trade up program, but because we still are working through back orders of B series, anyone can call in and they can upgrade to a foundation, and we can switch their scope from a B series to a foundation.
Okay, so if it's on order,
yep.
Okay, now I'm tracking.
And anything RMA wise, we can still work on B series, repair them, replace them, whatever it takes. But there will become a point like anything that becomes obsolete, where we will run out of parts and they'll be upgraded to foundation scopes or the latest model at that time. I mean, you can't go to the Ford dealership and get parts for your 70 Mustang anymore, So
yeah, you gotta go to aftermarket. Now, do you guys still have parts for the the ER and the LR models?
For a lot of stuff we do. For most things, we can still work on them. We can still repair them. But there is some things that we just don't keep in inventory just because, you can't keep parts for everything forever, unfortunately.
Okay.
But no, I worked on a 20-year-old scope the other day, and we saw parts for it and to get it back on track.
Yeah, I had one of my guys from POI. He emailed me the other day. He goes, dude, you should see this freaking scope on Sniper's Hide. It's got the front parallax on it. And I'm like, really? How much is it? I want to buy it. Because honestly, those freaking old scopes were built like a damn tank, and a lot of people, and I explained to him, now the M40s were built with Unerdals.
Yep.
US Optics owns the rights to Unerdal, right?
So we don't own the rights to Unerdal, but what happened was the Marine Corps needed them to be refurbished, and Unerdal wasn't company anymore. Mm-hmm. And so we actually had the contract to refurbish all the Marine Corps' M40 scopes for both the M40 and for the 50 cals. And so we refurbished them. We actually updated them. Before, they had a leaf spring system in it, and over time that leaf spring would wear out. And so what we did is we put a corner plug in it so it has more spring pressure, so you don't have to worry about point of impact shift over time because that spring collapsing. And then we released our own version called the MST 100. And every couple of years, we'll do a run of MST 100s, and they look just like the M40 sniper scopes, with the steel body with Teflon coating, still has the BDC knobs that the M40 had on it, simple no-dot crosshairs.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, because a lot of people have been trying to redo that. Macmillan's still got the stock available. You can go with your own, and that's kind of crazy. But sorry, I didn't mean to get us off track. But going back to new optics, now explain to us what changed between the B series and the foundation. Now, you just said the glass somewhat changed, but what else changed between them?
The big thing is the elevation knob, and I actually have a B17 here with me. The main thing we changed is the elevation knob on it, and this is something you're really familiar with. It has our EREC knob on it, which is just like your ER25 or your LR17 had on it. But the big thing we've done is we've gone through it and we've changed it so it has a true zero stop now on it. So it has a nice, hard, tactile zero stop. So when you go to zero, you feel it and audibly hear, you're clicked on zero. And it's a zero stop that the end user can adjust. So if you want to have it set a half mil below zero or a mil below zero, I know some people like to set their zero stop for like when they run cans or whatever. Their zero stop is their zero for when they have a can on it, and their zero on their knob is for where their unsuppressed is, or whatever people like. They can set it to be either a true zero or below zero. The way you adjust it is the same way you adjust your ER25. So you still have that same center screw that you had on your ER25, and then we have a simple cap windage knob. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds between a B series and an ER. You have that nice small turret section on there, so you can use any one-piece mount, because before, I'm sure you remember with the ER25s, there was only about 2 one-piece mounts you can use. You could buy a spur and the MPA mount if you had a special cut cap for it. You could run it on there. But it really limited your mounting options. So you have that nice small turret section, the parallax integrated into the rheostat, capped windage. You get 11 mils per revolution on the elevation knob with a true zero stop. Just simple, durable, reliable, everything that you want in a knob, and no flash, just performance.
All right, let's hear it. Where does Josh set his zero stop? Do you go
I set mine exactly at 0. I don't want anything below 0. I mean, I want it to be hit it on 0 and not have to think about it when you're at a match or something. So I just make a snap and then I'm done.
Everybody's different. There's a lot of people. There's couple of my scopes that I go like 2/10 past or 3/10 past or whatever, just because I know, and then I can go right back. But most of the time I don't zero hard, and it's mostly just in my brain to reset my turrets. And that's the hardest freaking part, is going back to, how the hell, you train your brain to re-zero your scope after a stage. And that's the thing. That's one of those simple things that's killed me time and time again. Of like, it's the small little things, right? You guys need to put something in there. Hey, zero your stuff, idiot. That's like, tell you in between stage.
I've made the embarrassing mistake of having a knob or rev up and go to the next stage, and man, why am I high? Why am I high? And then 3 shots later, you kind of look at your knob and you're like, I'm an idiot,
Yeah. And then that whole stage is gone, then you're pissed the rest of the day. You're like, there that goes. Another thing. So you guys released a whole nother line of US optics. And I don't know if everybody knows about them. I've got 2 of the new TS25s, and I've got one of the new TS12s. The TS12 is actually out with one of my reviewers right now. And the thing's teeny. Like,
oh yeah, small.
I cannot believe how small that little freaking scope is. And kind of give us a little background on why US Optics went to those, and then kind of what the TS12 is, because that one's kind of something that kind of made me laugh, because I'm a predator hunter. I love that kind of stuff. That little freaking scope is killer for that stuff.
So the big thing behind the TS scope is for as long as US Optics has been around, it's been a high-end scope company. I mean, you're spending $2,000-$3,000 to get into a scope, and realistically, not everyone has the want or need to spend $3,400 on a Foundation 25. A lot of people don't need it, or it's just not in what their budget they're looking for. And we really wanted to make a scope in the $1,000 or less price range. But unfortunately, that's not something you can do in the U.S. I can't make a scope for $1,000 and have it made in America still. So what we did is we designed, developed, engineered a line of scopes that are durable, repeatable, optically good. They track, and we have them made overseas. They come to our facility in North Carolina. They're QC'd by the same people who QC our B series and Foundation scopes. We hold them to the same high standards. We still check them for tracking, subtension, clarity. We did the whole gauntlet of quality control on them, 100%. Every single optic. We're not getting crates of these in and just shipping them out to the customer. Every one of them goes through our QC process, and we're able to give a person a quality scope for, like, our TS20 is the highest end of the TS series, and it's $1,495. Opposed to our 17 or our Foundation 25, where you're in the $3,000 to $3,400. And we have we do 2 1-6s, both in first and second focal plane. We do 2 1-8s, both first and second focal plane. We're doing the TS12, the 3 to 12, and the TS20, the 2.5 to 20. And those range from $595 to $1,495. And it gives the guy who buys a $1,000 AR-15 isn't going to put a $3,000 scope on it. Same thing with the guy with hunting rifle. The guy with the 270, isn't looking to spend a ton of money and put a big, heavy US Optics on there. But we wanted to give them a quality options, because we felt the market's flooded with substandard low-end scopes, and we really wanted to, give people something that they could still depend on, but not have to spend US Optics money.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me how many people don't go actually do tracking tests on their scope. And a lot of people don't understand how to do tracking tests. There's a lot of companies out there that are trying to tell people, if you buy a scope, go out and track it. And there's a lot of substandard optics out there that I bet if a lot of people went and tried to track them, They don't
No.
freaking track, but the thing is most hunters out there do holdovers, right? They try and aim, oh shit, hold it 2 feet over and we're going to throw it. So what reticles did you guys decide to put into the TS series to help with the hunters, with the steel shooters in the 1-8s? What were your guys' thought process behind the reticle systems?
We have a little bit of everything on our start at the high end on our TS20. We do the Gen 2 XR in it, which is a great holdover reticle. People have been shooting that for years. We also have our new JVCR reticle in it, which is our competition style holdover reticle with a floating center dot in it. The really popular reticle in our foundation series that's been really popular in our TS scopes as well. And then as you work down the line, we've made a couple simple crosshairs. We made a heavy triplex for a 3.5 to 12, because a lot of hunters like a really basic reticle. Me personally, I like some information on my reticle. I know my data, I know my holdovers, but a lot of shooters, that's not into them. They want simple crosshairs. They want to put a crosshair on the target, pull the trigger, and be done. And we gave them just a nice, simple triplex. And then we also have our MHR, which is our mill hunting reticle. It's kind of like a modified version of our gap reticle, but we give them a floating center dot, so you have a little bit more open target, so you have the mill holdovers if you want them, but it's not a lot of clutter like shooting an H59, And then in our short range scopes, we have a couple circle crosshairs where you have a speed ring and then milling reticle on it, and then we're doing which is actually really popular, is our RBR, and it's a rapid ballistic reticle. It's just a Christmas tree style rapid BDC for it works. It's really optimized for a 77 grain 223, but it still works pretty good for 62s. Anytime you're shooting 400 yards and less with a 223, ballistics match up pretty closely on the drop, and you're able to get away with a wide variety of ammunition with it. And a lot of your entry level shooters and guys who are shooting on AR-15s, they want something simple to put on a gun where they can just say, hey, I put the 2 at 200 yards. I hit at 200 yards. It's not for everyone. I'm a mill guy. I like mill reticles. I like to know my data, but a lot of people like BDCs, and so we give them that option. And on TS scopes, we still do on the TS20. We are doing BDC knobs. So if you have your data, and the 300 yards, your 2.3 mils, you can give us your data and we can burn you custom BDC knobs. And a lot of the hunters really like that as well, because it makes it easy that they just turn the number they want to shoot. And when you're shooting a deer or shooting an elk, it makes it really simple. So,
yeah, that's good to know, because I didn't even know that you guys made those. So that's awesome. Now this is a big question with the hunters, because I hunt with a pack a lot. Now do you guys on the TS series, do you make them capped, correct? And then can you make them lock at all, or can you make them both capped? Or I know a lot of hunters are going to ask those questions.
On the 3 of 12s, they're locking elevation and locking windage. So once you dial it, you just pop it down, and you don't have to worry about bumping it, pulling it in and out of a scabbard, or even being slung. You don't have to worry about rolling your knobs, On the TS20, we're not currently offering locking knobs on it, but it does have a 0 stop, so you can always dial your elevation back down. And we're probably looking at possibly doing a locking windage on that too, because that is a popular request with a lot of hunters, and understandably so. You don't want to take that shot of a lifetime and have to worry if your knob's been rolled.
Yeah, and that happened to me a lot, in the Vortex Extreme and some of the others, where you're constantly putting your gun in your pack, pulling it out. There was quite a few times that I noticed my optics had revs on them, and I'm like, crap, trying to go back, because there's not a 0 stop. If you rev that, the windage enough, you're going to be, you don't know which way to go. So that's always one thing that I've always, wondered is USO going to go more towards trying to cap that or lock it, to try and make sure that, especially in the hunting market, predator hunting, any of that, you're walking through trees, you're trying to figure that out. That's something that I in my opinion, has to be done. Now, Jake pulled up a good point. Now, this is one thing that I pushed Maggie and Becky and everybody at years ago, was freaking build me a damn USO that I can shoot 22s with. You know, you needed that parallax to go down. you needed a good reticle that wasn't huge, that you could see some of those really small little teeny targets, 50, 100 yards. Trying to do that is, that's key. So in your 20 series, they'll go down to what on your parallax?
They go down to 10 yards. So that's awesome for like NRL 22, or even if people who want to dry fire, snap in your backyard, you can dial parallax all the way down to 10 yards and you can sit there and dry fire in your backyard. Or the TS22, NRL 22, that we get a lot of demands for low parallax. So that was definitely something that was really important for us when we were doing the TS20 with having parallax that went down to 10 yards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and what reticles do you guys recommend for the 22 guys if they're looking at a USO, trying to figure out what reticle? Now, I know the JVCR Jake's on here. He keeps saying those, and that's what he's the kind of the brainchild behind the JVCR.
Yep.
River. But what other reticles do you guys recommend, or what gets asked of the most in the 22 side?
Actually, the JVCR probably is our best reticle for that, just because it has the finest center dot. And when you're shooting 22, those bullet holes are small, so you do need a thinner reticle. That, and we have our MGR reticle, which also has a floating center dot that works pretty well for 22 as well. And those are the two big ones we're seeing people ask for when it comes to 22 shooters. Yeah.
Okay. Now, capped windage on the foundation. That's on the foundation.
Yep.
So kind of like it was on the ER, the LR in those series.
Yep.
That's money, because a lot of the times you're never touching that, especially if you learn how to hold wind, or, and I always shot the H59, so I never really touched it at all anyway. But are you guys still doing the H59 reticles?
Absolutely. We still do the full line of Horus reticles, the 59s, the T3s, H102s, 425s in our 10. We do the full line of Horus reticle. Each one of our scopes has roughly 7 to 10 different reticles that you can choose from, whether it be mill variants, MOA variants, Horus, Christmas trees, where you like something really simple or you like something with a lot of information. We really have something that kind of fits every shooter's need, because a reticle I like may not be something you like at all. And so we really like to give people the option. That's kind of something that US Optics has always done, is giving people options. And that's definitely one thing that we are definitely keeping on, is giving people options. So.
Right. And, going back to one of your original, I didn't realize that USO only had that many employees. That kind of goes through and tells you also about, the quality and the attention to detail a lot of companies have. There aren't 60 people standing in an assembly line or going through QC. How many QC people do you have?
Right now there's 2 of us, and we're also, I'm one of them actually. Everyone at US Optics wears multiple hats. You don't just do any one job. I mean, any given day, I could be either building scopes, I could be working on production flow, or working on instruction manuals, or be QC and scopes. We are currently growing. We're hiring. We're expanding, but we still are a small team, and we definitely give it that craftsmanship to building scopes. We're not assembling scopes. We build scopes. Everything. Even though our machining tolerances are extremely tight, and we really pride ourselves in the machining we do and the parts we get in, everything is still done to fit and feel. We're not just dropping reticles into erectors. It's all depths are set by hands. We're indexing lenses. Reticles are all precision aligned by hand, just to ensure that, you don't have any reticle cant. Sometimes you hear people talk about there's up to a degree of reticle cant. No. Our tolerance is 0. There is no perceptible reticle cant in a US Optics.
So let's stop that right there, because a lot of people that are listening to this are going to not understand what reticle cant is, because we've got a lot of basic people trying to understand, hey, I want to get into shooting. Why would I pick a USO over a Night Force or Vortex or whatever it is? So go into depth a little bit more on that reticle cant, so that a lot of our newer listeners kind of dumb it down to my level and explain it. What is that exactly?
So reticle cant is ensuring that your reticle is square with the scope body and with the knobs. So if you have reticle cant and you're doing holdovers, you got to think 1 degree, there's 60 minutes of angle in 1 degree. So if you are off 1 degree on your reticle when you're doing holdovers, that's 60 minutes of angle, at the extremes, it's a lot. That, and when you're dialing your knobs, you can't have any turret cant, and your elevation and windage knob have to dial true to each other and true to the reticle, or your holdovers, or when you adjust your dope, you're going to have drift in where your impact is because they won't be dialing true. So what we do is we have precision ground rails with precision squares on them. And what we do is we square every body on that rail, and we hand align every single reticle when they're glued into the bodies to ensure that there is no reticle cant. A lot of times people are just using fixtures and dropping them in in a set position. When you do that, you have tolerance, which there's a lot of great scope companies that make scopes that don't have reticle cant. Not saying you can't do it, but it's our process to ensure there never is.
Okay. So, and a lot of people get asked this a lot, and it's good to ask you. So I've got a new USO. I'm mounting it on one of my new rifles over here. What is your best way to mount a scope and ensure that it's straight? Now, we can go later into tracking tests and different things like that. But what is your favorite way to get it as close as possible?
So, there are a lot of different theories on whether you should, level your rifle, or and level your scope to your rifle, or if you should level the reticle to, gravity and to earth, but we use dead levels to do a lot of our mounting, like the Badger Ordnance dead level. And so we'll put a mount in there, level the level, and then on top of the scope, we'll put a precision level and make sure that's all squared up. Because like when we're mounting scopes for a customer, I can't know how your rifle's sitting in your shoulder, So if you do it with a 10-degree cant and that's how you hold your rifle, you need to adjust your scope and your mount to, the fall of gravity. A lot of people like to use plumb lines. Plumb lines are a great way to level your scope. But one of the most important things is having a set of fix-it 6 or, torque limiters. Like anyone who doesn't use that, I always kind of laugh. It's like, man, you have a $1,200 chassis with a $1,300 action and, $3,000 scope on top, and you're just using hand tight screws, and that's not precise, Like you have to make sure that you're not going to crush your scope by over torquing it, because sometimes, you have a little too many Red Bulls and you really crank down on those things, you can actually do damage to an optic, even a heavy duty optic with a thick tube. There's only so much force aluminum can take before something's going to give. That, and you want to make sure there's enough torque on it. So having a proper set of torque limiters is a really big deal. For your scope rings, the base, your action into your rifle, it's a important thing. All our scopes, we recommend 15-inch pounds. That may vary depending on your ring manufacturer. Ring manufacturer, the mount manufacturers tolerance their rings differently. The zero delta mounts that we use all recommend 15-inch pounds as well. So it's a good made up. But if you're using like a spur, I think they recommend like 25-inch pounds. It's always best to go whatever your ring manufacturer recommends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and POI Fix-It Sticks is one of POI's clients, and it's amazing how many times I get told those are too expensive, those are stupid. I just go until I hear a crunch. Seriously? So you're going to do that to your scope? You just paid an unbelievable amount of money. You're just going to go to it. And that was the big thing that taught me when I first started doing this. Guys were having issues with different scopes not tracking correctly, and they were freaking torquing them down to where they were touching. A lot of rings need a little bit of clearance in between them because that's just the way they work. The MPAs, different ones like that. And it's amazing. Now, a lot of rings go higher. Some go up to 30, 40 pounds. At what point should somebody call USO or whatever glass company and go, look, the rings say this much. Should I go this much, or what do I dare do? What are your thoughts there?
40-inch pounds is pretty high. And realistically, like when we've tested scopes, and we definitely take them to the point of crushing to see where that breaking point is. anything over 25, you should probably call the manufacturer and see if they recommend that. Like you could definitely torque one of our scopes to 25 inch pounds, but 15 is definitely the optimal range that you want to be torquing your scope caps down to. But I'm one of the people that I've learned the hard way a lot of times by not asking questions. So I'd rather call someone and be like, hey, this may be a dumb question, but can I torque it down this much? Because I don't need to make that mistake again.
Well, that's the thing, you get your hard-earned dollars,
Yeah.
no matter what it is. And it's like, why would you go destroy it if you're not 100% sure? Ask. I get asked that a ton. Well, what should I do? The thing is if you crunch it, some companies aren't going to stand behind it. Now there's some unconventional warranties, some unconditional warranties, different things. How does your guys' warranty process work at USO?
So the US Optics warranty, the lifetime warranty, if it says our name on it, we back it up. It doesn't matter if you have a scope from the early 90s that doesn't have a serial number on it, it's so old, or if it's one of our new TS scopes. If we make it, we back it up. It is a manufacturer warranty, against manufacturer defects. But if you break your scope during normal wear and tear, we're going to back it up. Now, if you take your scope and go bash against a tree and run it over your truck, that's a different story. Or if you take your scope caps off, and you throw it in a bucket of water, and you get water inside your scope because you don't have scope caps on it or knob caps on it, and you defeated the O-rings, of course, stuff like that, that's going to void your warranty. Mm-hmm. If it says our name on it, we back it up. And whether that means if you have a scope that's 20 years old that unfortunately we can't repair, we'll replace it with something of equal, equivalent value. So you're still getting a quality product. You're not going to be out just because we can't replace it.
Yeah, the 1B series that I completely destroyed. I remember I sent it into Maggie and you, and I got an email back. What the hell did you do? We've never seen this before. And I'm like, hell, I don't even know what I did. It was just one of those freaking weird things in the middle of a match. There she gone. We'll use some holdovers. Yep. But no, I appreciate that. You guys have always stood behind that. Jake puts out another great point. I should just let Jake come in here and do this.
Jake should be on here.
Yeah. So, and this is a big thing. I want to definitely support. It's easier to support one company, right? Instead of bouncing around.
Yep.
Where are you guys on the binoculars and spotting scope? Now, let me preface this before you answer. A lot of companies, and I'm not going to mention who, but they go to other companies to make their stuff and they just put their name on it. Now, USO hasn't ever really done that before. So the question is, are you going to build your own stuff, or are you looking forward to releasing something maybe in conjunction with somebody else?
Currently, we're not building spotting scopes or binoculars, unfortunately. I'd love to have a USO spotter again. I have one of our old field observation scopes that we made back in the 2000s. But it's definitely something that's on the agenda for the future of US Optics. Right now, we're working on our foundation scopes and ensuring that that's the finest scope on the market. And that's really where our focus is making sure our customers have the finest optical and mechanical reliable scopes in the market. And then we'll be moving on to other ventures. And I definitely see binos and spotting scopes in the future, but I wouldn't expect it within the next year, unfortunately. And it will be something that we'll be working on.
I respect that. A lot of companies nowadays, they'll go out and try to release 13 things and they'll have to pull back 5 of them because they just weren't where they needed to be. And I mean, you guys it's kind of been a struggle with the moves again. Within a few years, you went from point A to point B to point C, trying to keep up QC, going through different marketing staff, hiring and firing people and everything else. So, it's been difficult for you guys, I'm sure, trying to keep up with that. Where are you guys at on lead times on the new stuff? Like if I were to order one today, when would I expect it?
You're looking at a 3 to 4 month lead time right now. We have a pretty serious back order since before shot, because when we released this scope back in November, December, when we started taking pre-orders for it, we've been building them up pretty quickly. And we're actually working on our first run of foundation scopes right now to get them out to the customers who ordered them first. But but it's a handcrafted product. It's made here in the U.S. We're a small company. They're being done in small batches. So there's a little bit more of a lead time. You're not just going to Amazon and getting it next day, but when you get it, it's worth the wait.
Right. Right. And that's the biggest thing is it's like everybody else. Everybody else, I was talking to somebody about this today. It's like everybody is gotten spoiled with the Amazon, right? You order it here tomorrow or you order it in 2 days. The rifle industry isn't quite like that. It's a little different, but you can go out there and you can get a lot of different scopes and you can have it tomorrow.
Yep.
But the quality levels, depending on the scopes, it's just different. Let me ask you this, going down that road, what sets US Optics apart from, say, Night Force or any of the others out there that are really pushing it in your systems? What is different?
Well, first off, Night Force makes a great scope, good company, and a lot of our competitors, they make great stuff. A lot of things come down to what we do best, and that's some of our options that we offer people and our customer service. I mean, you can call Maggie or Kaylee pretty much 24 hours a day. I mean, don't call them tonight, please. They'll yell at me. But that you can always get a hold of someone, whether you want information about something or you think you have an issue or you do have an issue. We're always there to answer that call. The other thing we do is our customization. You can still get in-house Cerakote. You can do any reticle you want. A lot of people will tell you that our optics are better than company B's optics, and a lot of that's kind of subjective, but I truly do believe that we have some of the finest optical systems and optics on the market. Outstanding light transmission, great color resolution, and very low chromatic aberrations and stuff like that. But just our rugged dependability and just a scope that works. That's what we're trying to do. A great scene scope that works every time, because it doesn't care how good your glass is if your scope isn't repeatable. It has to work, and that's what we're doing.
Right. Yeah, that's 100% true. And another thing I wanted to bring up before I forget, I'm like squirrels. I'm all over the place, so I apologize.
No, you're good.
There's some things that Maggie emailed me today. She goes, you got to hit these. You got to hit these because we want to let everybody know kind of the cool stuff that we're doing. Now, I run a match. I'm a match director. You guys have always been a huge help across the board with matches and different things. Now, last year, you guys paid out to, top, what was it? If you placed in the top 3, you got paid out?
Top 5, actually. So if you're competing at a national level match, whether it be PRS or NRL, if you're competing with the US Optics scope and you come in first through 5th, there's a payout. It's $2,000 for first place, $500 or $200 for 5th place. So, it pays to compete.
You're still doing that?
Absolutely. And it's a $25,000 for the season finale. Whoever takes the finale, both NRL and PRS, we're doing a $25,000 payout for anyone running a US Optics. So if you run a US Optics for 80% of the matches that season and you win the finale, you're going to get $25,000.
So that's pretty much why you guys put Jake on the payroll, so you didn't have to keep paying.
Jake gets his checks.
I'm just shit. I know there's options, so I can stir the pot.
Yeah. No, it's we thought it was a really important thing to do, to offer the incentive program for shooters to be able to win serious checks, whether it be $2,000 for just a 2-day match or the $25,000. In our minds, it kind of it brought legitimacy to the sport in my mind, because before, it was a hobby. It's something you do recreationally because it didn't pay the bills. Mm-hmm. If you're pulling down $2,000 a match when you win, that's an income. $25,000 at the finale, that's some serious money. So it kind of, in my mind, makes the sport more professional. Bringing the best shooters to top and paying them for their hard work.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. As a guy, I'm constantly working. My wife's always chewing my ass because I'm always on the frickin' phone, trying to get things done. That's one of the hardest parts, is trying to get yourself to go out and train. and get to that level of competitiveness. Now I saw a lot more people this year. I didn't shoot as many matches this year. 2020, we're bringing the short bus out. A lot of people have seen it. We just announced today that Cryptek's wrapping it. We're excited about that.
Awesome.
But I'm going to start getting back out there and I'm going to start shooting. I've got my USOs. I've got probably 10, 12, 15. I don't know how many I have. But I've seen a lot more people just in the few matches that I attended last year shooting USOs. And a lot of it was because of this program. Now, another thing that I just got an email on is you guys supporting the ROs again. Now, you did that a few years ago to where you did the 50% off if somebody were to come ROs. Now, as a match director, that's one of my hardest things. We've been on the board of directors of the NRL. We've been talking about lately, like, how the hell do we get ROs involved? So you guys stepped up and offered 50% off. Is it any USO?
Yep, any USO, whether it be a TS or a foundation, it's 50% off for the ROs. And we really wanted to help match directors get quality ROs and reward people for their time. Because a lot of times it's competitors, who are not shooting that match, or it's people who are going out of their way to RO. And, it's a thankless job. You're getting yelled at by shooters, you're out there in the sun, it's a long week in ROing. And we just wanted to do our best to show our appreciation for the people who volunteer in and help our match directors get high quality ROs out there to help matches run smoothly.
Now, does that count on your TS series as well?
Absolutely.
So you could get a TS 20 for what, under $600?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Son of a bitch. See, I'm going to be an RO this year. Just get that. I mean, it's worth it, right? And
oh yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing is the appreciation of you guys giving back. Now, is that across the board with PRS and NRL, or just one?
Maggie's probably actually gonna yell at me about this because I'm not sure if it's for the PRS community too. I know we're doing it for sure for the NRL. I'm not sure what we're doing for PRS right now, so okay. I don't want to give away a bunch of scope by saying to the wrong thing.
All right. So I've got somebody asking on our YouTube side, what qualifications do you need to be an RO? Honestly, we're looking for someone that can keep a range safe, right? So, you're just maintaining awareness of where your muzzle is, making sure people have open, empty chambers, mags are dropped. In the NRL, we're really trying to push it to where you run an iPad, you just run the scoring, and then somebody else can watch downrange at the target. Now, if you're comfortable sitting through, a spotting scope all day long, which is fine, you can do that. But the main point of the RO in NRL and PRS is just keeping safety on the range, which is very simple, and ensuring that things move along and you're keeping score. It's really simple. Yep. So if you guys want to be an RO, so for 100%, it's going to the NRL matches. So go to nationalrifleleague.org. There's a list of all the matches that are coming up in 2020. See which one's near you. Hit up the match director or email the NRL, and they'll let you know exactly how you can go do this. It makes it really simple. A lot of times they'll give you even more perks. At Dog Valley Precision, we're doing percentage off of phone scope, USO, Fix It Sticks, and some other companies, so that
awesome.
the ROs are really taken care of. And it's a thankless job because they're spending their own money to drive there. They're spending their own money to stay. They're not competing. They don't get to walk the prize table. At Dog Valley, they do. I have a separate prize table for them, but it just kind of helps get more people involved in it. And it's honestly, it's a 2-day thing. You show up usually Friday afternoon, you RO Saturday, Sunday, you have a banquet, you're fed. It's a real fun time. So for you guys that are looking in the ROs, as a match director, we really need it. Jake's a match director. So again, I can't say enough thanks to USO for stepping up and doing that. What other exciting things do you guys have going on in 2020? Anything?
We're sponsoring a lot of matches. All the PRS matches, all the NRL matches. We're doing the Guardian Long Range Series, and the competition dynamics. We're doing all the competition dynamic matches, and they put on a great field stage match. For people who want to hike around and hike and shoot, they put on probably one of the best matches when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do one of those. I've even wanted
They're a blast.
to set one up here in Utah because I've got 7,000 acres here we can use. What else was I going to ask you? I was going to ask you. It was right there. See freaking squirrels again. I'm telling you, they're everywhere. I don't remember what it was. What if anything you guys going to be attending lately in that, in the East, in the West, wherever the people can check out, your scopes? Because I get asked that a lot. They're not in major retailers, or are they? They're not in like Cabela's or anything, are they?
Not yet. I mean, you're probably gonna start seeing TS scopes out there. In major retailers, it's a lot easier for dealers to be able to stock and push TS line products than it is a foundation scope, But we'll be at PRE again this year. Last year we went down to Georgia for the the Precision Rifle Expo. We're going to have demos at a bunch of PRS matches and NRL matches this year. I'm going to try to make it to a lot of the East Coast matches out here and, have optics there where people can get their hands on, play with it, maybe do some side stages, because the biggest thing is getting the product in people's hands and letting them see it, and see the quality, feel the quality, see the features, seeing a scope online doesn't really do you any good.
Mm-mm. No, and that's even the other bad thing. A lot of people will walk into a Sportsman's or a Cabela's or a Bass Pro or whatever. They'll look through the scope and try to figure it off of that, and getting it out in the field, as you said, on a side stage or something, that's money for that kind of stuff, especially where there's reticles, so they can go out and understand it and figure that out. That's where Scope Vision that I help run comes in, where you can understand reticles. But that's cool. The TS series, I'm excited about it. Like I said, I've got a couple of them. I'm going to start trying to hunt a little bit more with them now that I'm trying to get more time. And so on the West Coast, you've got Jake that's got one. You've got Nico that's got one. Who else has? So I've got the B series. I don't have the foundation yet, but who has some of these scopes that they can maybe hit up to see?
Dealers, I'm not sure what dealers they can go into the store and see one right off the bat, but I mean, we have Gustavo in Northern California. He's shooting a US Optics. Ron Shackle in Idaho shoots, he's been shooting US Optics for years. We have shooters all throughout the West Coast. If you go to a PRS match or an NRL match, you're going to see Jake, you're going to see Nico. Just go to a Mastodon, they'll tell you everything you know about a US Optics. I mean, our sponsored shooters definitely are amazing brand ambassadors on how they can talk about our product and the relationship they have with new shooters. So if you see someone shooting USO, go ask them about it. They can definitely point you in the right direction.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. Now, before we go, everything you've wanted to hit, we want to hit. I don't have Maggie list in front of me, so I'm probably going to get both of us might get yelled at tomorrow because of it. I don't.
I've been yelled at before.
It's all right. She can't get to me, so I'm fine. You're the one that's scared. That's what I always tell my wife. I can run faster scared than you can mad. It's fine.
My thing is, like you, I was in the military. People are like, oh, they're gonna yell at you. I'm like, yell at me. Oh, okay. I've been yelled at before. I'm used to it.
I'm good at turning it off completely, so I don't listen to it anymore. But
I think we hit everything that the big talking points. Just the foundation scopes. They're gonna start shipping this month. And if you get a chance to get behind one or check one out, you won't regret it. They're a solid, repeatable scope, and they're made in America by Americans. We're a veteran-owned company. We support the industry, and we appreciate everyone out there who's shooting US Optics.
Yeah, you guys definitely do. I can't say it enough. As a shooter and as a match director, we appreciate, you guys stepping up the way you guys have over the last little bit. A lot of people probably think I get a little mushy on this, but it's honestly very, very hard especially with the amount of matches, the amount of everything going on, to find sponsors that continually keep stepping up, and as a company as small as yourselves, with everything, all the changes and everything, you guys are still stepping up doing that. We appreciate it as match directors and consumers. So thanks for that.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Okay. Anyway, if you've got any more questions, you can always reach out on our Facebook page, Long Range Addicts. You can go on, listen to this later on the Firearms Radio Network. It's on iHeartRadio, iTunes, all the big ones. We appreciate all of you guys that are here live, tuning in, listening to it. Hopefully this is giving you a little bit more in-depth process of what USO is. US made. The TS series is not made in the US, but a lot of the big companies don't make most of their scopes in the US. So that says something a lot about the higher end scopes that you're going to buy. If you have more questions, let us know. We can reach back out to Josh, answer some more questions, anything we want to do. I appreciate it, man. It's late there on the East Coast, so I'm going to let you go, and appreciate you.
Hey, thanks, Cole. It's been a pleasure being on here. And if people ever have questions about US Optics, just give us a call. There's always someone there ready to pick up the line, answer some questions, and help you out. So we appreciate being on here, Cole.
Okay. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good night.